am Miles, the storyteller behind Noctavelle Audio, a home for emotional storytelling, soft fantasy, and haunting little dreams told in voice. Tonight, we return to Mara and to the cafe at the end of Van Lane. She told herself she would not go back, but the rain had other plans. And so did the girl behind the counter who always knew a little too much. This is part 2 of the cafe that should not exist. Settle in, dim the lights, and let the rain bring you back. The second time Mara found the cafe, she had not gone looking for it. She had only stepped outside because the rain was loud and she needed something louder than her own thoughts. And yet there it was, at the end of Van Lane, amber light in the window, warm and waiting. She told herself she would not go in. She stood on the pavement for a full minute, rain collecting in her hair, telling herself that a place with no address and no listing and a barista who knew her order without being told was not somewhere a sensible person returned to. Then Lin appeared at the window, looked directly at her, and turned back inside. Mara went in. The cafe was the same as she remembered. 4 tables, amber light, the slow sound of rain on glass, and Lin behind the counter already reaching for a cup, already knowing. This time Mara did not sit quietly. She asked questions. How long has this place been here? Who owns it? Whether Lin lived nearby? Whether there were other staff? Whether the cafe had a name she simply had not noticed? Lin answered each one in the same way. Gently, carefully, with just enough truth to feel like an answer and just enough space to feel like it was not. The cafe has been here a long time, Lin said. Long enough? Long enough for what? Mara asked. Lin set her cup down in front of her. Long enough for the right people to find it, she said. Mara looked at her for a long moment. Then she looked down at her coffee and said nothing more. But she noticed, for the first time, that Lin never seemed tired. Never checked the time. Never looked toward the door the way people do when they are waiting for a shift to end. She moved through the small cafe like someone who had nowhere else to be and never had and never would. She came back 4 more times over the following weeks. Each time it rained. Each time she told herself it would be the last. Each time she stayed longer than she meant to. And each time something small happened that she could not explain away. The third visit, Lin hummed something low under her breath while wiping the counter. A melody so quiet Mara almost missed it. But she did not miss it, because it was the song Mara listened to alone late at night, with her headphones in, the one she had never told anyone about, the one she kept only for the moments when she needed to feel something without having to explain it. She asked Lin where she had heard it. Lin only smiled. I have always liked that one, she said. Mara did not push further. She was learning slowly that pushing Lin for answers was like trying to hold rain in your hands. The more you gripped, the less remained. It was better to simply sit with her, let the evening move at its own pace, and wait for things to surface the way they wanted to. The 4th visit, Mara arrived with her left sleeve pulled down over her wrist, the way she always did in public without thinking. An old habit a small protection. Without a word, Lin set the cup down on the left side of the table instead of the right, the way you do for someone when you know they prefer to keep that hand close. Mara stared at the cup, then at Lin. Lin had already turned back to the counter. That night, Mara sat for a while after finishing her coffee, not ready to leave, turning the empty cup slowly in her hands. The cafe was quiet. No other customers. Just the two of them, and the rain, and the amber light, and the particular stillness of a room that has learned to hold people carefully. The fifth visit was the night of the heavy rain. Mara had not planned to go out at all. She had been sitting on the floor of her apartment for an hour, back against the sofa, not crying exactly, but close enough that the difference did not matter. There are nights like that. Nights where nothing specific has gone wrong, but everything feels like it has been quietly going wrong for a very long time. Nights where the apartment feels like it is breathing too, and not kindly. She put on her coat and walked out into the rain without a destination. The cafe was there. Of course it was. When she pushed open the door, Lin took one look at her face and did not say a word. She did not ask what happened. She did not say it would be alright. She simply made 2 cups instead of 1, came around from behind the counter for the first time, and sat down across from Mara at the small table by the window. They sat together in the sound of the rain. After a long while, Mara said, "I do not know why I keep coming here." Lin wrapped both hands around her cup. "Maybe you do," she said quietly. "You just have not let yourself remember yet." Mara looked at her. There was something in Lin's voice that night, something underneath the words that felt less like a mystery and more like a door. One that had been standing open for a long time, waiting for Mara to be ready to walk through. She was not ready yet, but she was closer than she had been. That night, walking home, she called her mother. She did not know why she called. She only knew that after sitting across from Lin in the rain, she felt the way you feel after being close to something old and important, and she needed to hear a voice that had known her for a long time. They talked about small things at first. Her mother's garden, the weather, an aunt's birthday coming up. Then Mara said, casually, "The way you say things you do not know are important. I have been going to this little cafe. The girl who runs it, her name is Lin. She is strange in the nicest way, like she already knows me." The line went quiet. Not the quiet of a bad connection. The quiet of someone who has just heard something they were not prepared for. "Mara?" Her mother's voice was careful now. Different. "Con vừa nói tên cô ấy là gì?" "Lin," Mara said. "Why?" Another silence. Then her mother said, very quietly, "That was the name of your best friend. When you were 7, before the accident, you cried for her for months, Mara. And then one day you simply stopped talking about her. We thought it was easier for you not to remember, so we never brought it up again." Mara stopped walking. The rain fell around her and she stood very still in the middle of the pavement, phone pressed to her ear, trying to reach back into a part of herself that had been sealed off for so long she had forgotten it existed. There was nothing clear there. No face, no specific memory, only a feeling, warm and heavy and aching all at once, like pressing your hand against a door and feeling heat on the other side without knowing what is burning. She said goodbye to her mother softly and stood there for a long time after the call ended. The rain was getting heavier. She looked up at the sky and then back down at the street, at the way the water moved in slow rivers along the gutter. And she thought about the cafe and the amber light and the girl behind the counter who had looked at her from the very first night like someone who had been waiting. Quietly, and for a very long time, she thought about the song, the cup placed on the left side, the bread that had stayed warm all the way home. And she thought about what Lynn had said that night, sitting across from her in the rain. Maybe you do. You just have not let yourself remember yet. There are people we forget not because they did not matter, but because losing them hurt so much that the heart quietly chose one morning to stop remembering and called it healing. And that is where we leave Mara tonight, standing still in the rain, holding a name she had forgotten and a feeling she had never quite lost. The truth is getting closer, and so is the next time it rains. Part 3 is coming, and that is where everything finally becomes clear. If you want to be there when it does, subscribe to Noctavelle Audio and turn on the notification bell, so the next chapter finds you the moment it arrives. And if tonight's story left something sitting quietly in your chest, leave a comment below. Tell me what you are still thinking about. I read every single one. Until then, rest well. And if it rains tonight where you are, you already know what to do.